Now, in our very first story, 2 persons have been confirmed dead in sporadic shooting in the northern region town of Bimbilla late Thursday afternoon. Several others are said to have been injured. Renewed disturbances in the town said to have been sparked by the installation of a new chief. The Interior Ministry has since imposed a dusk to dawn curfew there, but residents say they could hear gunshots in the town well after the curfew hours. We're trying to work the lines to get a journalist in the area who can get to speak with us on the very latest playing out in that area. Immediately we do get that person, we're going to be bringing them live onto the phone lines. We're also trying to see if we can get to reach the Defense Minister, who is also the MP for the area. He's been sharing some insights as to what exactly is happening there. But the very latest information we have is that 2 persons are confirmed dead. In fact, the deaths were confirmed to us by the police, and we also got confirmation from the Defense Minister, who is in touch with people on the ground. We're also in touch with some people on the ground who are confirming this and telling us that there are gunshots right until a few minutes ago before we came on air. Right, whilst we try to work the lines, let's move on to other stories. And President Nana Akufo-Addo has appointed Major General Obed Asamoah Akwah, a former aide-de-camp of ex-President Kufuor, as the new Chief of Defense Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces. He will, however, be in acting position until the President concludes consultations with the National Council of State. Introducing him at the Flagstaff House, President Akufo-Addo said his extensive experience makes him qualified for the top job in the Army.
He's obtained qualifications from the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College and the Defense Services Staff College of India. He's had extensive international peacekeeping experience in various parts of the world and was also brigade commander of the UN Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo some 5 years ago. He has been commander of the Ghana Military Academy, commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, and since July of last year has acted as Chief of Army Staff. He was also ADC to my former boss, President John Agyekum Kufuor, which was when I got to know him well. I believe that his career and personality make him strongly qualified to act in the top job of the Armed Forces, Chief of Defense Staff, and it is my pleasure to appoint him to act as such, pending the constitutionally required consultation with the Council of State. General, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you.
Now, Major General Obed Asamoah Akwah took over from Air Marshal Samson Oje, who earlier on Thursday retired from active service. So earlier, before the announcement of the new CDS, the outgone Chief Air Marshal Samson Oje had called on the President to inform him of his retirement from the Ghana Armed Forces after 39 years of service. Chief Air Marshal Samson Oje said the resolution of the peacekeeping allowance problem had boosted the morale of members of the Ghana Armed Forces.
Uplifting me from my very fundamental base to the topmost job as the CDS of the Ghana Armed Forces. Only a few people have got this far, and I'm grateful to God. I'd like to thank you, sir, for the opportunity of making me the CDS during the issue of Christian. And to thank you for even giving the opportunity to fly around. I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate it a lot. From the few directives we've given so far, I can see the bright light for the armed forces, particularly in and the issue about the peacekeeping allowances has been solved within a very short time. It has boosted the morale of the officers and men of the armed forces. We are grateful to you, and I can see a bright future for the Ghana Armed Forces. Once again, on behalf of me and my family, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity And I can assure you that you have very, very capable officers and men back in the forces. And they are loyal to you. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it very much. Yes. Let me carry on, sir.
Meanwhile, Major General Obed Asamoah Ackah has been replaced by Major General William Azure Ayamdo as Chief of Army Staff. Now, back to our first story, which has to do with the renewed clashes in Bimbilla. What we know now is that 2 persons have been confirmed dead in sporadic shooting in the northern region town late Thursday afternoon. Several others are said to have been injured in the renewed disturbances in the town. Let's get onto the ground now, and we have Osman Nuhu. He's a journalist who lives in the area, and he's going to be sharing with us the very latest that he knows. Good evening to you, Osman, and quickly tell us, what's the situation in the area now?
The situation, good evening, the situation in Bimbilla now remains a good town. As everyone is indoors now, and information we gathered from the hospital indicates that 2 bodies have been deposited at the most hospital, several people injured, and some few arrests have been made by the police and the military.
All right, but how about the shooting? Do we know if the shooting is still happening? Can you hear the gunshots? Can you still hear the gunshots?
Currently, we've not heard any gunshot for the past 15 minutes now. Just the military and the police is in the town patrolling. For the gunshots, for the past 15 minutes, we've not heard of any gunshots now.
All right. You're talking about the fact, you say that the 2 bodies have been deposited at the hospital. Could there be the possibility that there may be more?
Yes, there may be more. There may be a lot. But until tomorrow, we'll be able to gather information as to that.
All right, we're told that this latest clash apparently happened because of the installation of a new chief. What do you know about that?
Yes, the region installed 2 warrior chiefs, one from Pusuga, the other from Julu. Then immediately after the enskinment, the firing of rifles and gunshots started. And as reported earlier, there was a warning from the other side for the region to stop the enskinment, which they turned down and continued. So it is said this is the main cause of this chaos in Bimbilla today.
All right, and how about the curfew? How is it holding?
Like I said, everyone is indoors, and the curfew has been reimposed from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning.
All right, so when you say 12, is it 12 midnight or 12 noon?
No, I mean 4
p.m. All right.
To 6 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, thank you very much, Osman Nuhu. He's a journalist and he lives and works in Bimbilla. He was bringing us up to speed with the very latest on the ground. Now, Public Relations Officer of the Northern Police Command, ASP Ebenezer Tete, has been speaking on this issue. Let's hear him.
Injured persons, as it is now, we have several persons injured. And as I'm even speaking to you now, the officers on the ground have indicated to me, especially the commander in charge of Bimbilla, that gunshots could be heard from the outskirts of Bimbilla. So the military and the police are not able to move in because they could be caught in the crossfire. So for now, they've taken position in other areas in Bimbilla. The township itself is calm now as everybody is indoors. There's a curfew that has just been imposed on Bimbilla and its surrounding areas from 4 to 6. So as we speak now, Bimbilla township itself is very, very quiet, but gunshots could be heard from the outskirts.
I know you're speaking to us based on the briefing. You're speaking to us from Tama based on the briefing you're getting from Bimbilla. But these two people you've confirmed who are dead, have they been identified, or under what circumstances were they shot?
For now, identification will be very, very difficult. We picked them at a location, so we have just deposited the bodies at the hospital. And as we speak now, the identification will be very, very difficult, as I've indicated. So in our parlance, they are unknown as we speak now, but we will hope if everything dies down, they will subsequently be identified.
That was the Northern Region Public Relations Officer of the Northern Region Police Command, Ebenezer Tete. We'll be keeping an eye on this situation and we'll bring you the very latest as and when we have it. We're taking a break right now. We'll be back with more. Please stay tuned. Information Minister designate Mustafa Hamid on Thursday beat a retreat on his claim that then President Mahama is an ethnic bigot. The statement was made by the minister designate prior to last year's elections following a claim by then Ghana High Commissioner to Namibia Haruna Atta that candidate Nana Akufo-Addo detests members of a particular tribe. Mustafa Hamid, however, believes that statement was made in the heat of the campaign, something he doesn't intend to repeat as a Minister of State.
I guess that these things were said in rebuttal to the NDC tagging my candidate at that time as an ethnic bigot. So, Mr. Chairman, I guess that under the circumstances, I thought that it was okay to say that you are the opposite candidate is and not us, and that's the context in which I said that.
Now, sitting here as a Minister of State, would you use the same language to describe either your opponent or your president?
Mr. Chairman, certainly not.
Chairman, to Mr. Nominee, the Constitution of Ghana abhors matters of tribalism and ethnocentrism. Do you regret those comments?
Mr. Chairman, I regret the polluted political environment that enables people from both sides of the political divide to throw such invectives into the public space and poison the atmosphere. I regret that environment very much. If by your grace I am minister, inshallah, I shall work to rid our environment of such pollution. I promise you that, Mr. Chairman.
Such invectives, is that your commitment?
Yes, that I will. My commitment is that, first of all,
including those that are likely to be manufactured by you, is that your
Mr. Chairman, I would not manufacture stuff. I will not. I promise you that. Mr. Chairman, I want to reiterate that I will contribute my quota in ensuring that we have a sane environment, a sane political environment where we are not insulting and attacking each other and mudslinging one another. I will try my best to create that atmosphere.
Mustafa Hamid also says his vision is to make the Information Ministry a lead organization in providing accurate information, and that he also intends to use some money from the media fund to build the capacity of journalists.
From the briefings that I've received from the various sectors under the ministry, they say that capacity building is one of the major challenges. And therefore, I would commit some of the funds, inshallah, if I'm minister, to building the capacity of our journalists to be able to do their work better.
Accreditation of journalists for the inaugural event. There was this talk of foreign media being charged. In a liberalized democracy, local or foreign, should the media pay in order to cover an event? And where will you stand on this?
Mr. Chairman, local journalists should not pay, and indeed do not pay, per my understanding, for accreditation. I understand that the convention now, and I stand to be corrected, Honorable Okujeto was in the ministry, is that if you are a foreign journalist coming into our country, you are required to go to the Ministry of Information and register your presence and pay a certain fee. Now, my understanding is that that fee is what they call a facilitation fee, because sometimes you need letters to be written for you in order to facilitate your entry to certain places around our country. And so they use that money. It is 500 cedis, as far as I know, that will aid you to. So to the extent that the ministry makes some expenditure in facilitating the foreign journalists' work, I think that the fee would be justified.
Chairman, is that not why you have a budget dedicated to the Ministry of Information, and foreign journalists abroad create an impression of an extortionate state where in Ghana you have to extort money from a foreign journalist for him to operate? Will you review this position?
Mr. Chairman, if the entire government machinery is in place, it is a matter that I intend to bring to the attention of the government. A discussion will be had, and I'm sure the superior view will prevail. Whatever view prevails at that time, I'll be prepared to go by it. If the government wants a revocation, that's what we shall do.
Ms. Hamid is also promising to make the Information Service Department efficient if approved by Parliament's Appointments Committee. The ISD, the official public relations outfit of government, both home and abroad, in the past, has come under severe criticism following the use of an error-reading brochure for Ghana's independence anniversary celebration. Some concerns were advanced about the outfit being inefficient, hence the decision to outsource that contract. The minister-designate says he intends to address this by adequately resourcing the department. Now, the Public Services, or the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Charles Bawuah, has downplayed accusations of witch hunting leveled against him by some workers. According to him, these are unfounded and purported a court in public attention. Workers at the Commission have been protesting over the unwarranted termination of the appointment of their local union chairman, amongst other issues, including the appalling conditions of service. But lawyer Bawuah has justified the termination of the contract of the local union chairman, Alex Opong, and others.
Allegations that the workers have leveled are unfounded. They have no basis at all. The crux of the matter is that there was a need to carry out some transfers along with this decision. So we moved 2 workers from Takoradi to Accra and moved 2 other workers from Accra to Takoradi.
Which is Alex Opong Boateng, who is the chief driver.
Alex Opong Boateng and one Omari Yeboah. Now, when that happened, that was as far back as in October. When that happened, they were supposed to report at the beginning of November, but they wrote to say that the timing was short and they needed more time to relocate. So based on their petition, they were given up to the 3rd of January to move to Takoradi. On the 3rd of January, the workers who were coming from Takoradi reported. And they who should be going to Takoradi refused to go. And then when they refused to go, we inquired from them what the issue was. Then they said they don't have accommodation. But we made them to understand that the Commission doesn't provide accommodation for its workers. There is a process where you apply for a transfer grant. Now, you haven't even got any application in respect of that. And you know also that the procedure takes a long time for that money to materialize. It has to go through the Give Me system, Ministry of Finance, controller will finally pay, not National Labour Commission. We don't have money to do that. That is the procedure. So they should go to Takoradi by the 15th of January. By the 15th of January, they still refuse to go. Meanwhile, the Takoradi officers had moved to Accra. It meant that there was a vacuum at Takoradi. And so they queried them to respond by midday yesterday why this final action should not be taken against them for their refusal.
Earlier on Thursday, some of the workers locked up the offices of the commission demanding the removal of Mr. Bawadua and Chairman Edward Briku Bwedu.
It started just yesterday when some employees were terminated. And so the appointments were terminated. So in reaction to that, the workers decided that, look, we are also going to sit down in solidarity of our staff who have been terminated. So that's why they have locked up this place. Okay. Well, the chairman, we've had issues with our current chairman, who used to be the former executive secretary. So we petitioned to the Ministry of Employment and Labor somewhere 2004, 2014, sorry. Okay. Then attempts were made, a committee was set up, and then they listened to us. Till date, there hasn't been, the outcome of the committee has not been communicated to us. He managed to bring this new executive secretary, and what he's doing is to hunt those who champion the petition that was sent to the ministry against his chairmanship. So, well, after that, he tried to transfer some of the employees who championed this to Takoradi.
So, wait, who are we talking about here? Who are you accusing of witch hunting?
The chairman, Edward Briku Bwedu.
Okay.
Is behind all these things. And he is using the current executive secretary, Charles Adongo Bawadua, to champion his interests.
In other news, Joy News has uncovered an alarming case of land grabbing in the Greater Accra town of Doflokpo, which is depriving most residents who rely on salt mining of their livelihoods. The residents accuse some chiefs in the area of colluding with private developers to assume exclusive ownership of salt mining concessions. Joy News' Favor Nunu visited the Songo Lagoon in Adan and has come through this report.
Songo has about 34,000 acres of lagoon basin on the Atlantic coast of Ghana, with the greatest potential for large-scale salt production in West Africa for both export and industrial use. The commodity has for centuries been a major item of trade for the peoples of Adan. However, residents of communities who make a living through traditional salt mining along the Songo Lagoon are complaining bitterly over the hijacking of the mining area by few rich individuals. Samuel Lakumi was born and raised in Adan. He takes me on a tour of the private concessions.
As you are seeing it here, it's a group of people that have hijacked the place here. Some people too, they didn't get places here to do the pans. So those people who didn't get it, they are complaining. And even as you are seeing it here, some of the chiefs, the paramount chiefs, are also part of it. You don't see them here, but they have a connection with those who are mining here. They have some amount of money that they have been giving to them. So they are not able to say anything. If the other chief want to talk about it, those chiefs didn't make any effort so that they stop it.
Ernest Pavlo is a native of Doflokpo and tells Joy News their source of livelihood has been taken away from them. They have been reduced to working on the concession of private operators and get paid a pittance for their hard work.
First, in the olden days, with the Songo Lagoon, it comes out openly, not pan like this. So our parents and everybody has access. Immediately after farming, during the dry season, the Songo Lagoon, we got the salt right from the sun. So while the sun is scorching during the dry season, our parents mine the salt. During the wet season, they generate money from there into the farm, and they had something to do on the farm. But with now, everything is all over the pan. People own it. Someone can come and stand here. Since he's having the capital, he can generate the pans right from here, far away. He will tell you he owns it. He will now allow you to come and mine for him. Whilst he will be out, when you will come and mine, carry it down before he will give you 1 cedi. Due to that, people got angry and then they decided not to come to the Songo Lagoon at all. And the people with that, they are not making money, a lot of money, whilst the rest are at home. If the government can come to our aid and then find ways and means of stopping those owning the pans, they do say they give the chiefs who are responsible to stop it. They give them money. So everybody's after money now, and then they look up and down and they just forget everything.
Residents say the price of salt has also been affected by these operators who now control price, thereby shortchanging indigents.
They are selling one sack of the salt, 10 cedi, 8 cedi, C. How much you get and sell it before you get money? Then you take do your why? Why 50 kilo, they are selling cement, one bag, 30 Ghana, 40 Ghana. What about salt? Salt, we use salt to cook. But why we are selling salt, 8 cedi, 10 cedi? Why? It's cheap. It's too cheap. Why? It's 50 kilo. Cement too is 50 kilo. Then why? Are they not using salt? Then why? So we want the price to go high.
Na pense au piongo ba pebene nga songo mi. Ka pa pempe. Wa bengo na joka bra na joka songo ba mo so. Lo kwa pengo ma ji jambion mi.
They say that now that with the introduction of the pans, they are mining salt more than the previous time. So if they say this, you allow the Songo Lagoon to form the salt like the first, it will take some time because now the lagoon is full of mud, because now the road that bound the lagoon has spoiled. So when rain falls like this, it carries mud into the lagoon. So if they want to allow the lagoon to form the salt like the previous one before the mine, it will take some number of time before it to form. So with this one, they can mine salt all year round.
Some residents have taken the law into their own hands and encroached the Songo Lagoon itself, allocating for themselves salt mining plots on the lagoon. This old woman tells us she has no option than to move on to the lagoon and make ends meet.
We don't have anything to live on. This is the only option we have, else we will struggle to make ends meet.
For so many years, the people of Adan have mined salt in this place, but recent occurrences have actually led to some tensions and disagreements within the Adan communities and enclaves. They are asking government to come in and put a stop to it and institute new mechanisms or bring in the one district, one factory in any way or form that the government thinks as prudent in bringing jobs and wealth to the people of Adan. From the Songo Lagoon in Accra, Favor Nunu for Joy News.
You're watching Joy News Prime, and our top story for this evening: 2 people have been confirmed dead in sporadic shooting in the northern region town of Bimbilla late Thursday afternoon. That's one story we're going to be keeping an eye on. But there's some more to come in some other stories. Officials of the John Mahama administration are challenging claims 205 state vehicles have disappeared from the presidency. We'll be telling you all that we know, and including the very latest information that we have coming through. Stay tuned. We'll be back with business news. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Bajuafi. We're going straight to the presidency, where President Akufo-Addo is about unveiling the Ghana at 60 logo. Let's listen right away.
It's now my pleasure to introduce the first gentleman of the land, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to give his address.
Mr. Vice President, Chief of Staff, Ministers of State, ladies and gentlemen of the media, members of the diplomatic corps, invited guests, fellow Ghanaians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. 3 weeks ago, I constituted a planning committee to oversee the commemoration of our nation's 60th birthday. Do we have reason to celebrate? Yes. Do we have reason to reflect? Yes. Do we have reason to challenge ourselves today? Yes. There are Ghanaians, many of them unsung, who have distinguished themselves quietly, meaningfully, modestly. Some have blazed a trail in this country and across the world. Yes, we must tell the Ghanaian story first to ourselves. I also ask specifically that the 60th anniversary commemoration be modest. I'm pleased to announce that under the able chairmanship of Ken Amankwa, the National Planning Committee has provided an agenda that I can sign up to. Today, I unveiled the logo and the theme. We are an industrious and determined people, and together we can and must build our beloved nation. It is appropriate then that the theme of this program should be one of reflection, celebration, challenge, and togetherness. Ladies and gentlemen, our theme is mobilizing for Ghana's future, and the accompanying logo can be seen on the screen. This logo symbolizes the diversity and unity of our country and the aspirations of the Ghanaian people for a dignified and prosperous future. I was a young boy when our forebears stood up and sacrificed in diverse ways for our freedom. I know that the torch of independence was laid well and still burns in many hearts across the country. It was the dream of the founders of our nation that Ghana, free, progressive, prosperous Ghana, will be the beacon of Africa and the light of the world. That dream still lives on. It is a dream that has been nurtured by great patriots through the ages: John Mensah Saba, Joseph Casely Hayford, George Parr Grant, Joseph Boakai Dankwa, and Kwame Nkrumah, amongst many, many others. Our generation will continue to be inspired by that dream. On March 6th, we will celebrate with a traditional masked past and will enable each region begin to tell its own story in its own voice. Over the course of the year, the Ghana 60 Years On torch will move from region to region, encouraging citizens to participate where they lived and worked, supporting domestic tourism, and an opportunity daily to reflect, celebrate, renew, and challenge ourselves to define the spirit, I am a Ghanaian. The very foundation on which we stand, which 10 years ago was christened by its builder, President John Agyekum Kufuor, as Jubilee House, was meant to commemorate the 50th anniversary, the Golden Jubilee of our nation. On my part, I've instructed the Planning Committee to come up with a plan to develop significant projects that can stand as national monuments for this Diamond Jubilee. Marking such an occasion will cost us some money. This Diamond Jubilee commemoration is estimated to cost some 20 million Ghana cedis. And I'm hoping that individual Ghanaians, the Ghanaian private sector and corporate Ghana in particular, will provide the funds for this anniversary. My ambition is to commemorate this anniversary with a minimal or no burden at all on the national treasury. The Vice President is happy with those comments. This must be a Ghanaian undertaking in its true sense, and I'm appealing to all Ghanaians to chip in to make a success of this important undertaking. In the coming weeks and over the course of the anniversary year, each of us will have an opportunity to renew our commitment to this blessed land, Ghana. Let's continue to mobilize for Ghana's future and give meaning to the statement, I am a Ghanaian. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. Thank you all for coming.
Right, that was President Akufo-Addo unveiling the logo for the Ghana 60th independence celebrations at the presidency. The Public Services Commission wants the processes leading to the recent recruitment of more than 200 staff of the National Service Secretariat set aside for the whole exercise to be redone. Its chairperson, Bridget Katriku, tells Joy News this has become necessary because the commission was sidelined by the immediate past executive director of NSS during the interview process of the new recruits whose appointments have since been terminated by the acting executive director of the Secretariat, Yusuf Mustafa. Mrs. Katriku also adds her outfit has received petitions from volunteers of the Secretariat in some regional offices as well as the head office, questioning the processes leading to the recent appointments.
We were not aware that the recruitment was done until we received the two petitions. One saying that some people who could have been considered were left out. Another one saying that the recruitment process or the mode of recruitment was not according to the laid down regulations. Yeah, so I would have thought that with the evidence on file, that we have stayed action in order to investigate the complaints. The incoming administration or the incoming executive director would have waited for that action to be completed or come to us to find out exactly what the situation is before he issues the letter either dismissing or terminating the appointment.
To go to court, you need to show, to prove that indeed you have a genuine case and that you were duly employed. Would you say these guys who have been asked to go home were duly employed by the NSS? So that they have a genuine job? Would you say they have a genuine job?
You know, you could be employed and have an appointment letter. That's just the beginning of the employment process. After you have received the appointment letter, there are certain other things you have to do. Even the employer or the government has to do some background check. And after I have done the background check and I know or I realize that you are not the material that I want, I have every right to terminate the appointment at that point. So if that was the situation you met, I mean, the best thing is to come back to us. This is what I met on the ground. What is happening? And then we would even take you through the process that went through and the reasons why we said they should take action. To be fair to those who were appointed, that investigation should be done. Because if the investigation, the conclusion of the investigation is that, yes, there were people to be appointed and yet you went outside those people to bring in new people, then we can say, and I wouldn't, to be fair to everybody who we think have equal right of employment, to be fair to all of them, re-advertise and let everybody apply.
Now, the former executive director of the National Service Secretariat, Pesa White, has meanwhile challenged claims that due process was not followed in the appointment of the 205 staff of the National Service Secretariat. He insists they were duly hired and is encouraging the 205 staff to go to court if they feel that they have been unduly denied their jobs. He spoke on the Joy FM Super Morning Show.
In 2015, the scheme wrote to the Public Services Commission for clearance to recruit, mainly those who have exited the scheme through retirement and others who were dismissed. The Public Services Commission wrote back to the scheme in 2016, I believe in February, granting the clearance for the recruitment of, in total, 207. Following that, the scheme wrote to, on the advice of the Public Services Commission itself, the scheme wrote to the Ministry of Finance for financial clearance. Now, that was done in July 2016. Then, in August 2016, the Ministry of Finance wrote to the Ministry of Education granting the clearance for the recruitment of 207 staff for the scheme. In September 2016, the Ministry of Education then wrote to the scheme to inform the scheme of the clearance. The board met and decided that we must activate the clearance immediately to recruit, given that the district and some regional offices are suffering from staff shortage arising out of the dismissal. Now, the Ministry of Finance's letter to the scheme also indicated that the scheme cannot recruit before October 2016 and cannot recruit after December 2016. So it means that the recruitment must take place between November and part of December. The new staff were given appointment letters on December 12th, and they started work. They've been at post for the past 2 months because they started on December 15th. For the past 2 months, they've been at work. And I woke up to the news yesterday that they have all been sacked. And so this is why I advise that they should seek redress in court.
Now, former Deputy Chief of Staff in the Mahama administration, Johnny Osei Kofi, has dismissed reports by officials at the presidency that more than 200 vehicles cannot be accounted for. Director of Communications at the presidency, Eugene Ahing, on Wednesday told the media the absence of the vehicles was detected after the assessment of 5 car models in the carpool inventory of the Flagstaff House. This latest development comes at the back of reports some cars were seized from the premises of NDC National Organizer Kofi Adams' residence last week. While the former Deputy Chief of Staff, Johnny Osei Kofi, in a statement Thursday, denied the presidency's accusations, saying it is a calculated move by the government to demonize members of the previous administration for partisan propaganda purposes. My colleague Evan Smith has been following these developments, and he joins me in the studio with how all these things have panned out. Good evening to you, Evans.
Good evening, Israel.
So, yes, we've had quite some back and forth. It starts from the Eugene Ahing indicating that, well, more than 200 vehicles have gotten missing. How have we been able to establish any truth at all? I know you've been speaking to a number of people.
Well, it's a difficult thing to establish who's telling the truth, but we can just put out the facts, as all sides have put out, because, of course, independently confirming this will be almost impossible until both sides present the evidence. For the very first time, I think the previous government has given us some more detail in terms of which vehicles were left, where they can be found, and then, so I guess what is left is to see what the current government's evidence is. Then we can say with some certainty where the discrepancies are. But already we are seeing some discrepancies in what the previous government is saying and what the Administrator General had said in terms of the number of vehicles that he had in terms of an inventory that he got from the previous government. So this statement that you just talked about was signed by Johnny Osei Kofi. Talks about clearly the disputing the claims made by Eugene Ahing that the Assets and Logistics Committee on the MPP side were giving a detailed list of all vehicles in a pool at the presidency. This is confirmed by the Administrator General to us that indeed the inventory was given to him and was given to the Transition Committee. So he says that. More important than just quoting here, a total of 641 vehicles were listed and properly accounted for. Now, that's where the discrepancy is, because the Administrator General says the list that he was giving and signed by the former Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, or the Chief Director of the Presidency, contained a list of vehicles totaling 678. But Johnny Osei Kofi is talking about 641. So between the previous administration, this particular statement, and the Administrator General, there is 37 vehicles that, again,
there's some discrepancy
in there that we need to verify. If that is what was given to the Administrator General, how come the Deputy Chief of Staff is saying it's 641? So why are there 37 vehicles missing in that? That's one key question to ask. But he goes on to state and make other claims that Eugene Ahing's point of view is one born out of a determination by this current government to run down and demonize the past administration. We don't have evidence of that here because we're still waiting for what Eugene has, and then we can corroborate. But on the face of it, there's some discrepancies that will need sorting out in a few days to come. But essentially that's it. But let's go to the details of this. They are Toyota Land Cruisers V8. He says they left this government 142 Toyota Land Cruisers. That's a lot of Toyota Land Cruisers to have in the pool. But he said that's what they left behind for the previous administration. Toyota Hilux vehicles 8. Toyota has 3. Toyota Avalon 33. Toyota Corollas 58. Avengers 55. We know the previous government were Toyota, they like Toyota vehicles, and there's also Nissan there. Tiana only 5. The Toyota Prado, the famous Prado, 54 of them, totaling 641. So these are the issues as we have
I
it.
see something there, number 9, Toyota Hyundai. Which one is that?
Yeah. So Toyota Hyundai i10. That's i10.
Toyota Hyundai.
Okay. So that's a discrepancy again. You can have Toyota Hyundai.
All right, but
you can have a Hyundai i10 or Toyota.
Something that jumps at me is the fact that the presidency has over 600 vehicles.
Yeah.
What could we possibly do with 600 vehicles?
Well, you remember that at some point in the past government, when the list came out in terms of how many people worked at the presidency, they were in excess of 600 people. So I'm assuming...
And everybody else gets a vehicle?
I'm assuming that's the case. I'm assuming that's the case. The president alone will have a fleet of vehicles to use, so he will not have just one vehicle. So if he has 600 plus workers there and each person has a vehicle the president has, then of course you're running 700.
I get the impression this is turning out to be similar to the vice presidential villa, where we're getting figures coming from one side, then there's some countering from another. But eventually I believe we're going to...
My only concern with those two instances you've mentioned, the current government, once they put the thing out, I think they need to then back it up with more evidence. I mean, I have seen some of the documents relating to the residence matter. That helps. But there's still discrepancies there that you need somebody to clarify, speak to once and for all. We're not getting that. So then that creates room for more mischief and doubts. And I guess that's the only thing from the perspective of a journalist, which you have. Then you can clarify for the benefit of listeners.
Right. So we also understand the other, related issue that's come up is that Kofi Adams of the NDC, he's also sued over in relation to some of these things.
He's serving notice that he will sue. And one person and another institution are in his crosshairs right now. The Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Aubrey Boahen, they've written to him asking him to apologize and retract and go on Asempa FM and also cause a retraction to be published in the Daily Guide newspaper to Kofi Adams, or else he'll be sued. They've given him time to do that. And then they've also written to the IGP asking the IGP to release the vehicles. Apparently the vehicles have not been released to him. To release the 2 V8 vehicles that Samson Ladayin, who happens to be his lawyer, says are his private vehicles that he bought from a dealership, and 3 other pickups that he says he was holding in custody for somebody else, on behalf of somebody else. He will not disclose who the person is, but he's emphatic that it's not from the state. And it says the police, they are asking the IGP to release the vehicles, or they reserve the right to go to court and pursue it.
Okay, thank you very much, Evans Mason, bringing us to speed on this missing vehicle, the disappeared vehicles brouhaha, where you're enjoying it.